The following program is brought to you by Tiger Media Net. That program being, it came from the DVD collection.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. My name is John Billinger and this is...
I'm Connor Keating.
Yep. And today we are reviewing The Land That Time Forgot. Ooh! Ah! Yes, The Land That Time Forgot. Now, Connor, explain your background on this film. Like, where did you first hear about this film?
Well, I actually didn't hear about this.
This is a 1975 film, by the way.
74, I think.
74.
So yeah, I saw this movie when I was a kid, ages ago, on TV. It was just like my dad's like, oh, here's this old movie that I watched as a kid. You'll probably like it. And so, we watched The Land That Time Forgot together. And it's one of those movies where I never quite, I didn't, forget about it. But it wasn't one that I, was able to see again for a long time. So it was just kind of like one of those cool old movies that you watch that just kind of lingers in the back of your mind. And so then, many years later, I got it on Blu-ray and rewatched it, and yeah. And it's been a favorite ever since.
Yeah, I first heard about this movie when I was 10 years old in the year 2010, which was 14 years ago. Anyway... it was on a video. They showed a clip of this in this giant clip show video. This is a dinosaur movie. I know Connor has a bit of a problem with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, they showed a clip of this movie, and I thought it looked really cool. It wasn't on Netflix at that time, though, so I think I put it on my Christmas list, and my mom gave me the 2009 Asylum version.
Yeah, that's great.
Bit of a downgrade in comparison. But later on I got to see the movie on Turner Classic Movies, and then years later I saw it on the rebooted version of Mystery Science Theater 3000. So that's kind of where I know this movie. So Connor, how about you explain the historical background on this movie, because you said that this movie was part of the Doug McClure trilogy. Maybe you could elaborate on that.
So, basically...
you told me this yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, this film is it's part of a series of movies starring actor Doug McClure, and, these films are all directed by the same guy, Kevin Connor. So you've got...
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Connor. So you've got this film... The Land That Time Forgot, you got The People That Time Forgot, and then you have At the Earth's Core. All three of those are based off of books by Edgar Rice Burroughs, who's most famous for Tarzan.
You wrote this book, The Land That Time Forgot, was written in 1918. Yeah. Really more of a serialized magazine story by chapter, but it is what you can get.
And then there's technically a fourth film that's not based on a Rice Burroughs book, but it is still Kevin Connor and Doug McClure, called Warlords of Atlantis.
You've never seen it, though?
No, I've not seen that one. I want to check that one out, though. But, yeah, and so I have read The Land That Time Forgot and The People That Time Forgot.
Yeah.
So I am very well versed.
But you have not seen the movie The People That Time Forgot.
I've not seen the sequel, The People That Time Forgot. It's a bit of a tougher Blu-ray to get a hold of.
Yes, one day. And hey, if you have a copy of The People That Time Forgot, please send it to Fort Hays State University, to Tiger Media Net, and we will review it.
And we'll keep it.
Yeah, we're not going to give it back.
You're not getting that back. Sorry, guys.
And actually, me and Connor, we're probably going to have a duel over it. A Wild West duel to determine who gets the Blu-ray. Or DVD. DVD is completely acceptable as well.
No, Blu-ray.
Okay, Connor's a bit of a purist.
I'm a purist.
How about this? If you send us the DVD, I get it. If you send us the Blu-ray, Connor gets it.
I'm killing him either way.
There we go. That's some nice, wholesome family content to put on Tiger Media Network. Okay.
Yeah, my parents listen to this.
Great. All right, so Connor, what are your general thoughts on the movie? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this movie. I think it's a very fun, old school adventure film. I like the characters, the story. It's all great stuff.
It's all right. Connor's not very happy with me just thinking it's all right.
Yeah. As I said, we're gonna kill him later, guys. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I like the film, but it's just kind of like, yeah, it's okay. You know, I'm not blown away by it or anything.
See,
like
here's
that.
the thing, right? Like, the greatest dinosaur movie of all time is Jurassic Park, of course. And when I say dinosaur movie, I mean, like, dinosaur movie. Real dinosaurs, not giant monster movies, right? So, Jurassic Park is at the peak, and then you've got The Land That Time Forgot. And if you want to squeeze Valley of Gwangi in there, you know, you can do that. But, like, those are, like, the pinnacle of dinosaur movies.
I got 4 words for you. The Lost World, 1925.
Wow, that movie's actually... It's fine, but it's really boring. Or it's very chaotic. Lots of things that are all just like jumping. Anyways,
Sorry, I mean, yeah. Look, I like the movie, so don't crucify me. But it's just kind of like, it's all right.
Yeah, this movie's like The Lost World, except actually good.
Huh? Is it the same thing with the book?
The books.
Like The Lost World is based on a book by.
I haven't read that.
I
haven't read that book. But I was going to say, I actually prefer this movie over the book. The book is it's fine.
Yeah, but they don't explain that whole evolution thing.
The way the island works. Well, they explain in the movie. It's just one of those where it's like, yeah, the book kind of explains it better, but that's kind of that's where like I actually prefer. Right, I've read both. You know, as I said, Land That Time Forgot, and I've read At the Earth's Core, and what I kind of found is that. The books, they do a really cool, and they do a good job of just like explaining like the world, and they just kind of like the setting that you're being put into, right? So in At the Earth's Core, because the sun in the center of the Earth is the Earth's core, like, you know, it's daytime the whole time, and so the characters lose track of time. That's something that's just not even in the movie, whereas in the book they're like, he gets to the surface and he's like, oh, it's been 15 years, it felt like only a couple of weeks or something, right? So they do a good, so like, you know, in the books they do a good job of like world building and stuff, but the actual like plot and characters and the action, I think the movies handle all of that a lot better, whereas the world and stuff might not like get lost a little bit or be a little muddled. But, like, the actual plot and the action, I just think is generally better in the movies.
Well, since we were talking about the story, how about you explain the story to these wonderful listeners?
All right, so the plot of the film is that it takes place during World War One. A German U-boat sinks a, like, British... I was about to say cruiser, but like no, that's an actual...
It's like a passenger ship.
Yeah, it's just a passenger ship.
It's carrying munitions, supposedly.
Supposedly carrying munitions. So so the Germans sink the ship, and then the survivors. We've got a British, a lifeboat full of like the British crew, and then we've got an American guy who's played by Doug McClure.
It's like Alfred Hitchcock's Lifeboat.
Yeah, and he's got an English woman that he like rescued. And then together they go and they storm the U-boat. They manage to actually capture it. And then from there, it's sort of this game of cat and mouse as the Allied crew tries to get
or literally it's a game of Tom and Jerry. Because back then the English term for someone like the term for someone of English descent was Tom, and Jerry was for the Germans.
So basically,
I'm sorry, I was making a joke
right,
there.
The British are trying to get to an Allied ship, but they're in a German U-boat, so that doesn't go very well. The Germans capture it, and they try to get to a resupply ship to turn over the British crew, but they end up launching torpedoes at this boat, and they sink the German supply ship, and then eventually they just get lost. And so ultimately the Allies are kind of forced to ask the German guys for help in navigating, trying to find their way back to like a neutral port. They instead find this island that seems icy on the outside, but they find a tunnel that leads like into the center of the island. They find it's all lush and tropical, and there are dinosaurs and stuff and cavemen, and they basically gotta find a way out, they find like a little like crude oil pit, and then so they start refining the oil in a sort of MacGyver type of way. And, they just gotta work together to try and get off this dinosaur-infested island.
Yeah. So it's a nice pulpy kind of story.
Yeah, it's a very fairly simple, just fun little adventure survival film with dinosaurs. It's kind of like the quintessential dinosaur island movie.
Yeah, and it's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the characters next.
Should I go into though the whole thing about like how the island works?
Yeah, you probably should.
Okay, so I had to explain this to John because when you're watching the movie, it doesn't quite. They do explain it, but it doesn't come across explained well. Whereas once you've read the book and then you come back, it's like, oh, okay, now everything makes sense. So basically, the island is sort of like this.
Now, this kind of science makes me cringe here.
It's crazy. It's a crazy science fiction story. Basically, all the animals. The crew discovers that the animals on the island evolve like Pokemon, where it's not like a generational evolution. It's more like a caterpillar to a butterfly sort of evolution. Basically, animals, they start off in like the southern end of the island where they're like not so developed, and then as they like evolve on their own in their own lifetime, they work their way north. And if you work your way south, you'll basically just die. That part's not quite like, it's sort of like, I don't know, alluded to, and the crew. Oh, I don't know if I should spoil it. It is from 1974, but some people do work their way south and then end up dying. We'll just say that. Yeah, that's essentially how the island works. They do explain it in the movie, but it's not explained the best.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
He doesn't like the fun sci-fi. The interesting sci-fi concept.
Well, it's an interesting idea, but it's just kind of like, well, scientifically, no, it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and neither could like what scientific movie should we pick apart? I don't know, Them. How does radiation turn ants into giant monster ants?
Well, radiation does cause mutations.
Radiation cause mutations.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that makes, I don't know.
Maybe these are dinosaurs that are just like giant viruses, where they just spontaneously evolve. The dinosaurs and the cavemen in this movie.
I'm shaking my head.
Yeah, it's just
it's an interesting idea, but I don't know. It's just it's a bit hard for me to wrap my brain around it. Let's just say
it's just like Pokemon. This guy just does not play enough Pokemon. That's all.
Actually, I don't play any Pokemon. So,
yeah, that's what I figured.
Well, it was never my thing. Pokemon. I remember watching the cartoon or anime as a kid, and just not really liking it that much.
Yeah, I'm more of a Fossil Fighters guy myself, but I'll dabble a little.
I don't know. When I was a kid watching cartoons, I preferred cartoons that were fun and silly, and not Pikachu, I choose you.
I don't think I've actually seen that much of the Pokemon anime.
Or what is it? It's a Digimon, Digital Monsters. I was never really into those kinds of animes.
Well, we got to get you on some Dinosaur King then. That's the pinnacle of that stuff.
I think you think anything that involves dinosaurs is awesome.
Well, not the Land Unknown.
Well, yeah, it's just like it's
or
a huge
Planet
plus.
Dinosaur.
I know, but it's just like a huge. It's like that's like the media you like consuming the most.
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the acting. I do think this movie is very solidly acted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the actors, they do a good job. They say their lines. They get paid. That's
well,
they do have depth, and they do have depth with the performances and everything like that, and the characters are written interestingly enough.
Yeah, I like the main German captain. And that's actually one of the big differences between the book and the
explain this one, because I remember you explained this to me while we were watching the movie, and I was like, no way did they actually write that back in 1918.
Well, yeah, of course they would, because this is like right after World War.
It was
during World War One. So of course the Germans here are portrayed as like objectively like evil people in the book. And there's actually like a crazy subplot where the main German captain, the English chick who's on the passenger ship, she is set to marry some general in Germany. Would you happen to know he's the captain of the submarine?
It's like, what are the odds?
Yeah. Of course, that's not what happens in the movie.
No, they cut that out because they were like, that is way too contrived. They're like, this isn't a soap opera.
Yeah. And another difference is that the Germans in this, because it is so far removed from World War I, and of course the Germans, they get a lot better over the course of history.
Well, they get worse over the course of the 20th century. They get worse, and then they get better.
They get a little better. And so because of that, the Germans aren't like as evil. They're still like there's at least one German guy who is like
a douche.
Yeah. But like the main German captain, I like that he is he's got a little bit of a nicer side to him.
Yeah.
And so he strikes a deal with Doug's character, and when they're on the island, he's like very determined, like, we have to work together if we're gonna get off this island.
Yeah.
And so I think he's one of the more interesting characters. Doug McClure is always great in these movies. He brings a certain fun charisma that I think is very much needed in these sort of films. He's very good main all-American man.
Yeah, I remember you got kind of first off, I should mention there's also the rest of the British cast, like the side characters that were like the part of the crew members of the ship.
Yeah,
they do a good job.
They're not explored too much in depth, but they're just like good side characters.
I should say that while we were watching this movie, Connor got kind of PO'd at me because he was like, hey, there's the British captain. And I was like, that's not the captain. He only has 2 stripes on his sleeves. He doesn't have enough
stripes on his sleeves, so that can't be the captain. No, he's got the captain's hat, so he's the captain now.
Well, maybe
he's
supposed to be the first officer. Maybe he was the first officer originally.
Yeah, it could have been
and the chief officer and the captain died.
Well, yeah, the captain's got to go down with the ship.
Well, that doesn't always happen. I mean, really, that's really more kind of like a guideline or a rule. I think generally it's like the captain is the last person.
All right, Mr. Ship Expert.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'll stick to planes and tanks.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
All right. Well, next let's get to the effects.
There's also a dog in the book. He's not in the movie, but...
Did they eat the dog?
No, actually, the dog survives, and he reappears in the second book, I think.
What?
Yes, the dog survives, and I'm pretty sure, I might be misremembering because it's been a while, but I think the dog returns in the second book. Anyways, he's not in the movie.
Oh. Well, at least they didn't eat the dog, which is what I was thinking.
No.
Because they have to survive on something.
Well, that's what the dinosaurs are there for.
Well, I mean, would you eat dinosaurs? Because
Yeah.
that would be kind of... I don't know. You don't know what kind of viruses they would have.
I'd eat one. I'd eat a plesiosaur. When they bring out the plesiosaur on the plate in this movie, I'd eat that.
They kill a plesiosaur.
Yeah, and then they eat it.
Yep.
So
all right, let's talk about the effects. The effects are pretty cool, actually. It's like it's kind of like
it's goofy.
It's goofy. We get a mix of puppets and guys in suits.
Are there guys in suits?
Yeah, I think there are guys in suits.
I think they're all puppets.
They're all puppets?
I'm pretty sure all of them are like basically marionettes or hand puppets.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they're really cool to look at and everything like that. And look, they're fun effects, okay?
Yeah.
They're not going to win any...
They're goofy looking. They're not accurate at all, of course, even for like the time, the 70s. But I think that they're just
fun.
Yeah, they're fun, they're cool, they're
pulpy,
unique.
if you know what that word means.
Yeah. I really dig there's I don't know, like a blue plesiosaur. I think they just like point out and go, "There's a crocodile." That's like I think my favorite puppet in the movie. I also really dig the look of the T-Rex and the Styracosaurus.
Although not all of the dinosaur effects are great, like the pterosaurs, for example.
Yeah, the pterosaurs,
which are just some giant stiff model.
Yeah, they look about as good as Rodan from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2.
I was going to say that pterosaur that was in Land Unknown.
Okay, yeah, that's fair too.
This movie's Land Unknown basically did rip off Edgar S. Burroughs because it's the same kind of idea. It's like this island in the Arctic. that has dinosaurs.
I think they went to the different pole, but if I remember, yeah, they went to North.
We're not watching that movie.
We're not watching that movie.
No, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe for a live stream for charity.
No, I'm not even doing that for charity.
This man has no soul.
I'll watch.
I should mention also another effect in this movie is not another one of the dinosaur effects that is the Diplodocus.
I think it's pretty good.
It looks a bit stiff.
It's a faraway shot.
But overall, the effects they have.
However, the one good pterosaur effect in this movie. Now it's still stiff.
Oh,
but
yeah,
the giant life-size pterosaur that picks up one of the caveman actors, and then flies off with them in its mouth. I think that effect looks pretty solid. Yeah. Granted, it's still pretty stiff pterosaur, and you can see some of the strings in some of the shots.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty cool for the 70s when they've got these big life-size dinosaurs picking people up and stuff.
Yeah, it's good. And, overall, I think the movie is... We're going to move on to the final thoughts now, by the way.
All right.
Overall, I think it's a good time. No alcohol required.
Mm-hmm. I think it is a fantastic piece of cinema. I think it's pure kino. It is a fantastic film. I personally, of the Kevin Connor, Doug McClure movies, At the Earth's Core is still my favorite. But this one will hold a special place in my heart because it's one of those old school dinosaur movies that I saw as a very young lad.
Okay. Now, I recall when we tried recording this the other day, you said something amongst the line of you were going to try to show me the rest of the Doug McClure.
Oh, yes. We have to... I think we've got to watch At the Earth's Core at some point. That movie is fantastic. It is peak cinema. It is...
Help me!
It's got... these awesome telepathic Rhymphorhynchus, and Peter Cushing is in there in his best 70s role. It's fantastic. He goes, "You cannot mesmerize me, I'm British," and then they mesmerize him. It's awesome. It's a great movie.
Help me!
So, anyway, that's it for now. Join us next time.
We didn't even say our scores.
Oh, yeah, what's your score?
I give this an 8. He's going to give it a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, figured.
6 out of 10. I'm sorry. Alright, well, anyway, that's it for now. Join us next time for The Invisible Man Returns. Ooh! And do you have anything else to say to the audience? Yeah, wow. Alright, well, goodbye.
It Came from the DVD collection was hosted and produced by John Billinger and Connor Keating. The movie covered The Land That Time Forgot is the property of British Lion Films. This has been a Tiger Media Net production.